So in this video, I want to talk about two things that I started doing last year to put myself on the road to changing my life. So the first thing that I started to do was, actually it was something that I stopped doing. I stopped automatically saying no to opportunities. And the thing that caused me to start saying yes more often is I read a book, and that book is A Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. And after reading that book, I realized that I had a habit of saying no to things, not because I didn't want to do it, or not because I wanted to say no, but very often I was afraid that if I said yes, that I would get myself into a situation that I couldn't guarantee that I could deliver on what I said yes to, or I couldn't guarantee success, or maybe I get myself into a situation where I messed up and I look stupid. So after reading that book and realizing that maybe the reason why I was not ending up with the things that I really wanted was because I was saying no to them, I decided that I was going to start saying yes. The second thing that I did was I decided that I wanted to show up differently in my life. And so, in order to help me show up differently in my life, I picked out 3 different words that I felt represented who I wanted to be. And so, the first word that I picked out was brave. So, brave meant that when I was in a situation when I normally wouldn't speak up or say anything, that I was going to be brave enough to speak up and say something, no matter how I was received, no matter if I was rejected, no matter how I looked. The second word that I picked out was intentional. I had a tendency to be very impulsive in how I acted. I didn't often plan things out. So I decided I wanted to be more intentional. I wanted to plan more. I wanted to move with a strategy. The third word that I picked for myself was generous. And simply to me, what generous means is that when I am in the room with someone else, I want to make sure that when I leave the room, that I have left the room better than I found it, that I have contributed something to the room and to the people in that room. Interestingly enough, there's an acronym for the 3 of those words. It wasn't intentional, but it just kind of worked out that way. It's big. So last year I started to live a big life. And so I'm going to continue with that theme. And this year I want to live a bigger life. And so I thought about it. And so in living a bigger life, I'm going to continue to be brave. I'm going to continue to be intentional. And I am going to continue to be generous. But what I'll add is that I want to also live in a way where I'm guided by my faith and guided by goals. And for the E, I want to be more educated. And when I say educated, I don't mean like book smart. I just mean like when I get into a situation, before I get into the situation, I do my research. And just to give you an example of a situation or a scenario that I got into recently, a couple months ago, my daughter, she's looking to get some training. And I found this online school. I just kind of assumed because of, excuse me, because of the name that was associated with the training, that if she took this training, that she would be able to get a job for this institution, because the name of the institution was attached to the training. And what I failed to do was I failed to read the fine print. And on the week that my daughter was set to start, she came into me and she was a little worried because she did what I didn't do. She went back and she read the fine print. And there in black and white, it said, this place doesn't hire students who take this course, even though the course was associated with that institution, or at least we thought. So that was a lesson for me because I almost lost my money. I told her to go ahead and cancel it, and she did. And fortunately, we were able to get our money back. But it still was a lesson learned. It's just that you just have to take the time to educate yourself. And if you educate yourself, you can get a whole lot further in life, or I can get a whole lot further in life. I'm talking about myself. I know it seems like I'm not talking about myself, but if I take the time to educate myself and do the research beforehand, it'll be better for me in the long run. And I've learned that the hard way, not just in the situation with what happened to my daughter, but there have been other situations. Third, the R. Well, to come up with the R, I actually ended up just kind of Googling adjectives that start with R and seeing what jumped out at me. And what jumped out at me was the word rare. And I went and I looked up the definition of rare. And so rare means something that's uncommon and valuable. So I think that is very, as they say, apropos for me in this season, being a 55-year-old woman, trying to turn my career around at a time when most people are thinking about retiring. I'm going to have to be rare. I am going to have to offer something that is rare so that I stand out amongst all these young people. Also, there's that saying that if you want something different, you got to do something different. I think the saying is, doesn't go like that, but it means that it is the definition of insanity is doing the future me here. I am so sorry. I had some audio problems, but you know that saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, I am ready to stop the insanity. And if you have any tips to help me live my bigger life, leave them down in the comments below. See you in the next video.